Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs, recognizing first responders and other deserving individuals in our community. Friday mornings at 8:30 on News Talk KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Schreiber Foods has recently received a tax incentive to grow their operations in Cache Valley. They have plans to invest $68 million in Utah and increase their workforce by 52 high-paying jobs, adding over $14 million in wages to the Cache Valley economy. The company has not publicly announced exactly what its expansion plans are or where exactly they will take place, but the Utah Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity awarded the dairy manufacturer an Economic Development Tax Increment Financing Tax Credit. Daniel Royal, Director of Corporate Growth and Business Development with the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, says Schreiber Foods will receive back 25% of their additional state taxes.
As a company pays their taxes, what we do is we calculate what we call new state revenue. So that's new tax dollars to the state as a result of their expansion.
Schreiber Foods headquarters are in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but the company has several locations in Cache Valley, a sizable production and distribution facility in Logan, as well as a production facility in Amalga. Royal says the state's tax incentive program is intended to entice out-of-state businesses to relocate to Utah, but also help those already here to expand.
We don't want companies to have to go outside of Utah to expand. We want them to expand here. Especially ones that are born and raised here. We want them to stay, continue operating, continue doing business, continue hiring. So we also provide this tax credit for companies who are not only coming new to the state of Utah, but companies who are already here and are growing.
Several businesses in Cache Valley have similarly taken advantage of this tax incentive as they have grown and expanded. KBNU News Time is 5:07. KBNU weather for tonight, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms early this evening, mostly clear later on tonight, and the overnight low in the upper 40s. Sunny, upper 70s tomorrow, sunny around 80 on Saturday. Looks like a nice weekend ahead of us. Warming temperatures, though, low 80s on Sunday. 71, or make that 73, has been our high today. That's where we are right now, 73 degrees at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Logan Extermination. Pesky weeds are popping up all over your lawn. Get a hold of the Terminator, Logan Extermination, to be ready for summer. They'll come to you and terminate those ugly weeds. Call Logan Extermination today, 435-752-8450.
My hearing started to go right around the same time my wife started naming off all the upgrades she wanted done on the house. I figured it was selective hearing. To be honest, I was actually pretty upset when it was suggested that I might need hearing aids, but ultimately I knew it was time for a change.
At Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, we can help you regain the confidence that you're hearing life the way it was meant to be heard.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Visit cachehearing.com for details.
KBNU News Time is 5:08. A Moab volunteer firefighter was arrested after an officer posed as a 13-year-old girl on an online message board. 43-year-old Joseph Corcioni was arrested on charges related to sexual exploitation of a minor and dealing in materials harmful to a minor. According to a press release from the Grand County Sheriff's Office, the arrest came as a result of a coordinated investigation by the Grand County Sheriff's Office, Major Crimes Task Force, and Homeland Security investigators. Court documents state Corcioni had multiple conversations with who he thought was a 13-year-old girl. According to a probable cause statement, he made comments such as, "I can get in trouble for this." Over a course of a few days, Corcioni had several conversations that turned sexual and advised that he wanted to meet up with the 13-year-old girl. Documents state he brought prearranged items to meet up with the alleged girl, where he was greeted by Grand County deputies and was arrested. As the winter's record snowpack melts and cascades down from the Rockies, Utah lawmakers on Wednesday set aside millions of dollars to prepare for potentially historic flooding. The spring's moderate temperatures have allowed snow to melt gradually and forestalled most danger and damage, but runoff has flooded neighborhoods throughout the Salt Lake area, opening sinkholes and causing mudslides in residential streets. And this week alone, some residents who live near Ogden, the Ogden River, were evacuated, and a flooded highway near Spanish Fork Canyon temporarily closed, and hay planted along the low plains of the Bear River has been submerged underwater. KVNU News Time is 5:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
The station for news and talk. KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
With the arrival of spring, Cache Stormwater Coalition wants to remind us all of 5 simple things we can do to improve our local water source. Pick up and dispose of pet waste. Sweep up and remove loose grass clippings or leaves from sidewalks and hard surfaces. Sweep fertilizers or other lawn chemicals back onto the grassy areas. Wash equipment or vehicles on the grass or at your favorite local professional car wash. And properly dispose of used automotive fluids or dry up and clean up any spills or leaks. We can all make a difference if we do our part. Brought to you by the Cache Stormwater Coalition.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, hour 2 of today's show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Coming up, we'll be hearing from North Logan Mayor Lindsay Peterson, an update on all things North Logan. No flooding in North Logan. So that is one city that's able to just go about their business without having to make some floodwater-related changes, and there's plenty on their calendar. We'll talk about that in a bit. An event happening in Preston, the Thank a Farmer Festival happening tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Stokes Market there in Preston. So we'll get to that as well. Right now, though, kicking things off with a very special guest. What prompted me to reach out is I know, with the flooding, there was news yesterday of the temporary closure of an RV park, and right around the corner, the tourist season gets underway. The summer citizens start to arrive, and I thought, what if people are hearing about this flooding and think, well, Cache Valley's closed? And it's exactly the opposite. We are very much headed into the tourist season, just like we always do. And so I reached out to our friends at the Cache Visitors Center to talk about everything on the calendar. And joining us now from the Visitors Center, our good friend Julie Hollist Terrill. And Julie, appreciate you doing this, especially on short notice. And that's kind of an understatement, right, to say there's a lot on the calendar?
Well, there's so much going on, and it's like spring has finally sprung, and we're finally celebrating. Everyone's getting out and getting ready to have a good time, and we're already doing that, so there's no lack of things to be doing, even with the higher waters that are around some of the places in the valley.
Sure.
So even like this weekend, well, even starting right now, there's actually the Mount Ogden Kennel Club is having a dog show down at the fairgrounds. It's free. And they have 700 purebred dogs that are here from all over the country.
Wow.
And they've got 125 different breeds, and you can see them take your own lawn chair and sit out on the fairgrounds, and you can see them showing the dogs and just seeing how they prepare them and groom them and talk to breeders, and that's going on. And at the same time, inside the fairgrounds building in the Cache Event Center, there is a gem and rock show going on. And you can go there and see they've got rocks and fossils and jewelry and educational things for the kids and demonstrations and all sorts of stuff. And that costs a whopping $3 to get in for adults and $10 for a family. So
not bad.
You can do both of those in one fell swoop, and that'd be fun.
That is, and Julie, you mentioned this earlier, and I wasn't aware of this, but we had a weird spring. There was a lot of snow on the ground up until the end of April, roughly, and so there were a lot of events that usually come along in the spring that were either a little, dampened by the weather or even postponed. And you said that the American West Heritage Center has decided to combine two of their biggest events because of the weird spring weather.
Yeah, this is going to be so great. I mean, normally they have their baby animal days in April, and this year we were still under feet of snow in April when it was time to hold this festival. So what they've done is now during the month of May, for this coming Saturday in just a couple of days, they're having farm animal days, and they've been doing that every Saturday of May, where you can go and pet all the baby farm animals, and they are adorable. But then on Memorial Day weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Monday, they are combining their Baby Animal Days Festival with the Cache Valley Mountain Man Rendezvous. And it is going to be awesome. So you can do everything from, like, on the Baby Animal Festival side, you can do train rides and you can do pony rides, and they've got exotic animals that you can see and pet, including like camels and little kangaroos and one of the most popular things is baby turtles that kids like to hold, but you can pet the pigs and the cows, and I mean, it is just so much fun. Then over on the Mountain Man side, we've got a whole slew of reenactors who are going to be there doing demonstrations from how to start a fire with flint and steel to scrimshaw working to doing black powder rifle demonstrations. You can throw a hatchet. You can try the tomahawk. You can really interact hands-on with all of these activities. They've got a Trader's Row where you can go and buy beads and all sorts of different items, and they're even going to have a frying pan throwing contest. I think that's hilarious.
I'm going to be there for that.
So certainly on Memorial Day weekend, that is going to be awesome. So that'll be lots of fun for families with people of all ages to go out there and experience those things.
That is very cool. And to combine that with Baby Animal Days, because it kind of came and went this year because of the weather. It was too cold. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you know, we were advertising to help people know that they had changed the schedule, and we said the baby animals took one look at the snow and were like, we're going back to bed. And so that's what we said, and now they're out. So we're excited to welcome spring in this way. And, you know, if you've been out, the American West Heritage Center is all outdoor living history, and it's about 6 miles south of Logan near Wellsville. But the views out there with the snow-covered mountains right now cannot be beat. It's going to be beautiful weather. Well, I decided it's going to be beautiful weather, and it's a beautiful scenery, great photo opportunities. What a great way to spend part of the Memorial Day weekend.
Sure. This is just a taste of what's happening. Many people don't know this, Julie, and for listeners, I'd point you to the Cache Visitors Bureau website, which is explorelogan.com. Yes. You can download brochures. You can see a list of events, conferences, a full events calendar. But many people don't know this. We hear the phrase Summer Citizens Program all the time. But what I think most people don't realize, this is actually a program. I mean, this is June to September, right? Here's what you can do in Cache Valley.
Yeah, it's actually it's June through the first part of August, and we have hundreds of retired people from Arizona and California who come to Logan. They live in student housing when the students aren't here. They take week-long courses at the university, and you'll see them at all of our restaurants. You'll see them at all of the, community festivals and all of our arts programming. They're a wonderful addition to our community, and they're just starting to roll into town pretty much this very day. And in the next week, they'll all be here. This is a program that Utah State University has put on for nearly 50 years. And it's very well established, has an excellent reputation, and it's just a really good time. So if you see some of our summer citizens in town, feel free to please welcome them and say hello. And they love to interact with our community and have a lot of ownership even in feeling like they belong and try to make a difference and help in our community. So please reach out and say hello.
That is something for the regulars, too, year-round citizens here in Cache Valley. Check out the Cache Visitors Bureau Foodie Trek. This is, Julie, I clicked through this myself, and I've lived here my whole life, and I learned quite a few things from this Foodie Trek schedule, places I'd never tried, places that I plan to try. But for listeners, it's literally like a trek. You start with the Aggie Chocolate Factory, and then months later, you wrap things up with a visit to Pepperidge Farm up north. But it's just going through the valley, all the places to eat here, and checking them off one by one. It really kind of showcases what is available here in Cache Valley. From it's food, but it just gives you an idea of how many options there are that we take for granted, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And, just to specify, this is food products that are made here, so this does not include our wonderful restaurant.
Oh, sure. That's in addition.
Yeah, that's in addition. But this is like Cox Honeyland or Cafe Ibis or Aggie Ice Cream or Gosner Cheese or Pepperidge Farmer Lauer's Meat. And we're just about to add Prodigy Brewing Company because they're going to they make their own beer there, and they're going to start doing tours on Saturdays that you can attend. And we just really want a chance for people who live here and people who visit to interact with the people who put the food on our table and make it a world of deliciousness for us right here in Cache Valley. It's so fun. Sure. You can take this on an adventure, and it's self-guided, but we provide all the contact information. And, I mean, who doesn't want to go watch the people hand-dipping Bluebird chocolates on Center Street? Are you kidding me?
Honestly, that was... and I think people would be surprised to see, everything from Gosner and Heart to Heart Foods to Mount Naomi Farms. A lot of this stuff, I think people would be sort of surprised to learn is being made right here in Cache Valley. And so, yeah, kind of a fun thing to do this summer. Take the Signature Products Tour, the Cache Valley Foodie Trek, and you can actually download that brochure again at the Cache Visitors Bureau website, explorelogan.com. And our guest has been Julie Hollist Terrill of the Cache Visitors Bureau. And the purpose of this today is just to remind everyone, despite the weird spring, despite some of news reports of flooding here and there, Cache Valley is officially getting tourism season, summer season underway. As Julie said, starting today with the arrival of the summer citizens. And Julie, I'm excited about all this, and hopefully we'll get a chance. Maybe we can check back in with you midsummer, and we can kind of go from midsummer to the end of summer with another list of events, right?
That'll be great. And one more thing I want to put a plug for is that the Gardeners Market has already started last Saturday from 9 to 1 on the grounds of where my office is in the historic downtown courthouse. Next week, we're going to have Black and White Days out in Richmond with the longest-running tribute to the Holstein cow west of the Mississippi.
That's right.
And we just go on from there. Got our great art seasons will be coming up and everything else. So there's, like I said, no lack of information. ExploreLogan.com or come and see us.
Absolutely. That's right. You can stop in person. The Visitors Bureau does have a location there. You can pick up printed brochures and more. Find out about weekend getaway deals and more for nearby areas. And, of course, their website. You can download all of this we've discussed. See the full calendar of events. ExploreLogan.com. Our guest, again, Director of the Cache Visitors Bureau, Julie Hollist Terrill. And, Julie, always a pleasure. We'll check in with you again soon.
That'll be great. Have a good one, and we'll see you around.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. And for listeners, again, ExploreLogan.com for more. We'll be back with North Logan Mayor Lindsay Peterson right after this.
Some companies will quote you a lower price just to get you to commit to having them perform a service for you, but not John Hanson, the Duck Hunter. When you see coupons or prices advertised for services, we highly recommend you call and ask a lot of questions. Find out what other costs might be added, what type of equipment and experience they have, and what you can expect from their finished result. This tip will get you better service and a good price. For a free consultation on air duct cleaning and dryer vent line cleaning, call the Duck Hunter, 770-4813.
We are the Duck Hunter.
I'm Ed Horrell, author of The Kindness Revolution. I've got a little suggestion for you this week. Take a moment to visit a classroom somewhere. If it takes going to an open house at a school, a PTA meeting, or simply making an appointment to meet with your child's teacher, do it. And while you're there, make it a point to say thank you to as many of the faculty and staff that are supporting the futures of these kids. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Thanks again to Julie Hollist Terrill. Again, we just wanted to remind everyone some of the news you might be seeing has people talking a little bit about, with the flooding reports and more that, and the weird spring, there were a lot of changes to calendars. Things were maybe canceled or moved. And so Julie there to remind us that it is officially summer season. And this is a huge part of our economy here in Cache Valley, to say the least. So welcome the summer citizens. Just one RV park has been closed for flooding. That's temporary. There are others. There is plenty going on. The Summer Citizens program and the housing available there as well. So and Julie and I barely got through like June there as far as events. There's still July and August. So thanks again to Julie. Shifting gears now, also a place where a lot is happening. And good news, I just learned from the mayor, not a lot of flooding concerns in North Logan. They're lucky to be in a location in which they are not going to be canceling things or pushing things back due to flooding. And that means that their whole calendar can move ahead. And I don't even know where to start with this. Our guest in the studio here is North Logan Mayor Lindsay Peterson. And Mayor Peterson, I always look, before we do this segment each month, I always look at the latest newsletter. And literally, I can't decide ever where to start. There's always, North Logan is a very busy city, and in a good way.
Yeah, we are. And I would say probably the best place to start is we're in the thick of things with the rec programming. So we're just, surprisingly, we're wrapping up soccer pretty soon and starting baseball. And I agree with you. I was kind of refreshing my memory on our newsletter, and just you look at the list of things just from rec. Sure. And then you jump to library, and they have a whole host of things.
That's where I kind of got stalled. I'm like, we can't talk about all this.
So I guess maybe the way I would start is just chronologically. We do have our Memorial Day program that I'm excited about. That's always really well attended. It's on Memorial Day at 11 a.m. at the North Logan Cemetery. And then summer reading kickoff, which is always super fun. They just go all out for that. But I don't know if there's ever, I don't know, I haven't been around forever, but I don't know if there's ever been such a busy time with the library. They just do such a phenomenal job of always having something that's going on there.
And I think a lot of people, when they think of a library, they think it shuts down in the summertime as the kids leave school. And North Logan Library seems to make a concerted effort to do the opposite, to kind of actually ramp things up a little bit in the summer from reading programs, but also for adults, keeping everyone busy with different projects and learning opportunities. It's very cool to see because, well, I'll put it this way: North Logan, everything you're surrounded by, you have every excuse to just be there. To just sit back, relax, just be there. People will find plenty to do in the surrounding areas. But so this is obviously a goal of the city. I mean, this doesn't happen by accident, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think a lot of it centers around that Cache Recreation Complex is what we call it. It's all around the high school. And we have such great facilities. I was speaking with some mayors earlier today, and they were a little jealous at, just some of the resources that we have. And we've been the beneficiary of some really great generosity from citizens in our community. And also just, I think that, I just have a legacy that preceded me from city leaders who really prioritized making our city great. We're obviously committed to providing those classic, things that cities provide: roads, water, sewer. But I think what makes a city really great to live in are those extra things, are those things that get the community together. And so, it is. It's a priority. And then we just have some really great staff that make those things happen. Sure.
This is, and for listeners, I want to point everyone to this as well, because I know this is popular with our listeners. But that North Logan annual event, that North Logan Perennial Exchange, is coming up June 3rd at the library, and they're combining it with a library book sale. You can fill a bag of books for $5. So that's very cool. I wanted to mention that one specifically because I know we get questions about it a lot. You've had a chance, too, as mayor, to sort of, representing Logan City, join with other mayors to step out and deal with some of the things that are related to the county growing and some of the changes that have to happen there. And I know when we spoke last month, you had good news. A lot of these things had come to completion as far as, working with the sewer project and more. Residents of North Logan, should they expect any other changes along those lines? I know in my city, I won't mention them by name, but they're struggling right now because they weren't able to get a green waste contract in time, and people are not happy, to say the least. But as the valley changes, this is constantly bombarding cities, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're always trying to look ahead and anticipate these things. What we've done in North Logan City is we did a spring cleanup day. And so we filled those dumpsters. They were full the very first day, I think by like 5 p.m. And so our staff scrambled and got double the amount of dumpsters that we were planning on, or those roll-off bins. So that's kind of how we've handled green waste. As always, you can haul directly to the landfill.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know if there are any really big things coming up. There's going to be a transition period with us moving from Logan City hauling our waste to Waste Management doing that. But one reason that we chose them is that they're a big company. They've done this a million times before.
Yeah.
And we're confident that they know what they're doing. So it's been smooth so far. They told us to expect some hiccups as we figure that out, but I'm confident in the process and that we've come to a good place.
Sure, and again, it's not North Logan alone. This is every city, and Logan City having to make some of these decisions to look out for their own budget as well. It all speaks to how fast the valley's growing, how much things are changing, and I wanted to throw this out because after we spoke last time, we got an email from a listener wanting me to read it while you were here, and I didn't see it until after the show. But a listener, a resident of North Logan, said, one of my favorite things about North Logan is they're handling growth responsibly. Listener didn't elaborate, though, but I assume what they mean is that, because we've talked about this before, that this North Logan had a little bit of prescience on this. The planning started more than a decade ago, knowing the city was going to grow. And now you're here as mayor and kind of overseeing, the management of this. And this resident at least said it's being done very responsibly. We're not seeing the open space disappear like some other places are, and we're seeing the housing go up in smart places. Is there a master plan? And I knew the answer to that, but yes, there is, right?
Yeah, there is. Well, it's good that you bring that up because that is something we just got grant money to redo our master plan. That typically cities will redo that every 10 years. We're at about 13 years. So that's a process that we're going to be starting in earnest in the next month or two, and it takes 18 months to 2 years to complete.
Yeah.
And so that's
to
just
do it right?
Yeah. And
you don't want to rush it.
Right. And I'm very excited about that. I think it's a good time to just kind of evaluate, where are we? What do we see going forward as our city's needs? What do we want to prioritize? And I think there will be time for input too from citizens, and we've been speaking with businesses in our city as well to get their input about what they want to see and, things that they want to avoid. But it's a difficult balance, and there are some tools that cities can use, and there are some that there are property rights that remain with the owners of those open spaces, and I love them too. I think that's a great part of North Logan, that you drive through it and you see a ton of fields, and
it's still a lot of agriculture.
Yeah. So I think we've tried to guide the growth, and I think a master plan, revising that, I think it'll be a good opportunity.
That's this was in the newsletter for the city. I thought this was worth mentioning as well, that just reminding people, things are starting to dry out. Though it's so weird. We're talking about flooding, but everyone's lawns are brown.
Yeah.
And we kind of want to let that happen still. But in the newsletter, you reminded residents that there are some restrictions on using culinary water for watering, and that's to protect the super important water source, right? The drinking water.
That's right, yeah.
The showering water.
Right. So culinary water, it's tricky because, you see all that water. We've endured a very long winter of a ton of snow.
Yeah.
But those aquifers take 2 years to refill. So we're still experiencing the drought conditions in those where our wells are. And so we are going to be on water restrictions. I think I've mentioned this before, but we are working on the water infrastructure. We're looking to install some really large tanks. I think they're 2 million gallons each, and to get in line with what the state requirements are, and that will help. What North Logan has struggled with in the past is that we don't have that supply. We don't have those reservoirs that kind of buttress the daily use.
Sure.
So I'm excited about that. We're on the path to that, but it's slow go with funding and with doing the actual work.
Sure.
So, but yeah, we're on a three times a week water restriction, even in May, and I would encourage everyone wait till June.
Yeah, if you can.
If you can do it, your lawn will still be there. I promise you.
It's easy, I think, for all of us to see the rivers, to see some of the flooding, and see how high the water is in the wetlands and the lakes, and think, we're good. But yeah, it's 2 years of the most severe drought in 75 years, and everything's still pretty hammered by that out there.
Yeah, it will take some time to recover. It will. So we're trying to be responsible. We don't want to get into a situation where we're, restricting water access. But yeah, you hit it on the head. It's the culinary water that's really tricky to make sure that we have that supply.
Yeah. Because otherwise you're boiling and not showering.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of, and if you've ever had to do that, North Logan, with the announcement recently, we talked with Nathan Dowgs of the county and these incentive programs the state has funded to go with xeriscaping or water-free lawns. And my understanding is that's going to be up to each city to decide how that's going to work. Have those discussions started at all in North Logan, or is that, because I know the legislature literally just did that.
Right. So. Yeah, actually last night we had a city council meeting where we discussed that. The state's been very specific about the requirements that you have to have for new builds, and also so it has to be 8 feet wide minimum, that park strip. You also have to have that 50% of the front yard is not grass.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's some really pretty restrictive ordinances that have to be in place before your citizens even qualify for the flip the strip funds. So we'll be discussing that. We're going to have public hearings on it because we really want to have citizen input on that.
Sure.
To see if it's worth it, if it's something that our citizens will take advantage of, whether they're even eligible for that. So that will be upcoming. I always kind of give people a heads up on my Instagram when those discussions are coming up. So I would encourage you to reach out in some way and let me know.
Sure.
Do you want? Is it worth it? Are you going to take advantage of it? But yeah, that is something that's on our agenda.
It is tricky, and like you said, the city could move ahead only to find out no residents qualify, and then the state, has kind of made it that way because Utah lawmakers, nothing can be simple. I think that's their general motto on this.
Right.
North Logan Mayor Lindsay Peterson, our guest, and Mayor, always a pleasure to have you in, and appreciate the update from the city, and for listeners. Residents of the city, don't miss the newsletters. This is one of the most informative. I shop this newsletter around to other city leaders. I always show them, I'm like, if you want to do a newsletter, do it like this, because this is what residents want. It's a lot of information. It would take you more than an hour to really read through it at all. But that's what a newsletter should be. And I love it. NorthLoganCity.org, the website. You can download the newsletters there. It covers everything we just talked about and more. And we'll check back in a month. North Logan City Mayor Lindsay Peterson joins us each month here for the North Logan episode of Speak to the Mayor. And Mayor Peterson, again, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I always love being here.
Oh, always a pleasure for us. And for our listeners, a pleasure to have you tuning in as well. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:37. The news brought to you by Logan Extermination. Somewhat reluctantly, the Logan Municipal Council voted 4-1 during their regular meeting on Tuesday to approve the rezone of about 35 acres of land on the city's west side. That decision clears the way for the proposed development of a mixture of single-family homes and townhomes on that property at 1095 West, 600 South. The rezone request was continued from the council's meeting on May 2nd when council members got an earful of comments from area residents during a scheduled public hearing. The local residents' responses were also fueled by a near unanimous March 23rd vote by members of the Logan Planning Commission to recommend denial of the rezone request. But council member Tom Jensen said some of Woodruff residents' comments were typical not in my backyard knee-jerk reactions to any proposed changes in the landscape of existing neighborhoods. With legal formality of a public hearing already accomplished, the council declined to hear additional comments on Tuesday prior to voting to approve the rezone. Known as the Sugar Creek subdivision, the developer had originally proposed to construct 82 single-family homes and 126 townhomes on the 35-acre property. Since the May 2nd public hearing, however, the developer acknowledged that the number of proposed townhomes was the source of most of local residents' concerns and amended his proposal to reduce the number of townhomes to 84. The lone nay vote came from council member Mark Anderson, who said he still supported the concerns of the Woodruff neighborhood. A man died at Arches National Park after attempts to revive him were unsuccessful. Officials with the National Park Service and rangers were called to the Devil's Garden campground on the north side of the park Tuesday. When they arrived on scene, officials said CPR was in progress on a 73-year-old man from Colorado. Emergency medical efforts were unsuccessful, and the man was pronounced dead at the scene. Officials did not say if the man suffered an unrelated medical emergency or if something happened at the park. Crews from the Grand County Sheriff's Office and Grand County EMS also responded to the scene. And Utah lawmakers convened for a special session on Wednesday to increase the state funding for flood damages anticipated after an abnormally wet winter. The state is among the many in the American West confronting the wet winter's consequences. Officials from eastern California to western Colorado are anticipating runoff in the coming months, drenching agricultural fields and battering infrastructure, with water overflowing out of creeks and reservoirs and running through city streets. Utah lawmakers have allocated a total of $40 million toward flood management after Wednesday's special session. KVNU News Time is 5:41.
With this incredibly cold and wet winter, it's put everybody behind on lawn care services. Logan Extermination is ready to serve you. They offer the following services: outside bug spray from April to October for $65 per spray. Spray for weeds in your lawn as soon as possible for only $45 per 5,000 square feet. Don't forget, Logan Extermination can aerate your lawn to get airflow to combat the extra snow and moisture. Call Logan Extermination today. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
KVNU weather tonight, slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm before 9 o'clock tonight, mostly clear later on, low in the upper 40s. And then sunny upper 70s on Friday, sunny around 80 on Saturday. It's been to 74. It's 72 right now at KVNU. Mount Logan Laundry has 55 and 80-pound washers to make your stay much shorter. Mount Logan Laundry in Logan and Brigham City. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. There are big elections next year, not only in the U.S., but also in the UK and Russia. However, nobody appears ready for the impact of artificial intelligence. Also, used car prices may be easing, but the price of one has still climbed 38% from the start of COVID. And how much time you need when you have connecting flights. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. If you own firearms, it's your responsibility to make sure they're always stored safely. Hiding them in a closet or drawer is not enough. Kids know where they are. Research shows the risk of injury and death is lower if guns are stored unloaded and locked up, with the ammunition locked in a separate place. This is important when children are young, as well as when they grow into teenagers. For more, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. It is, man, there's a lot going on the show. Now all of a sudden there's this quiet moment. Maybe we should just sit here and have
I can kind of faintly, somebody's vacuuming in the hallway. I can kind of faintly hear that a little bit. So.
Maybe,
but yeah, it is pretty quiet other than that.
Maybe we should try a little moment of zen here on the show. Just hum for a few minutes or something.
It's been an action-packed last 2 days.
Yeah, it's things just kind of fall into place sometimes all at once, and man, there's so much going on. I'd reached out to him, and we were hoping to make this happen, but it looks like schedules are not going to allow. But I want to give it a plug again because I don't know. I think we need a little more of this right now in Cache Valley. But tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m. at the Stokes Market in Preston, right on State Street there in Preston as you come into town. Actual address 217 South State Street in Preston. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're having Thank a Farmer Festival. And so there's going to be booths and produce. I mean, what is available at this early stage in the growing season, but there is some. And also information about the impact of agriculture and farming on southeastern Idaho and northern Utah. And this is all being presented by the Franklin County Farm Bureau. So this is just something I think we all need to get thinking about more in general as population grows here in Utah and as agricultural land disappears. Though we've taken some steps, it's still like I'm very excited that that voters passed the open space bond initiative, because we're going to need to be proactive that way. I think cities and even the county and the state legislature is going to have to be a part of this, but they need to kind of smarten up a little bit in their own way, stop taking power from the cities and counties, and instead give them some flexibility to make good decisions. If they're going to, we're going to hear a lot of talk about changing zoning laws or ordinances in order to accommodate different types of housing in different types of areas. There's going to be NIMBYism. There's going to be YIMBYism. There's going to be arguments. Developments are going to get shut down. Some are going to get approved. But either way, throughout all of this, every year the valley is going to grow and grow and grow in population. And if we don't, think about how we want to grow in a coordinated way, we're still right now kind of operating as if every city can act independently without coordinating through on a county-wide level or even a statewide level. We'll get there eventually, believe me. I think that's a bit unrealistic. I think we're pretending at this point, or a lot of our elected officials, not all, but a lot of our elected officials are kind of pretending that it's still, that you have, Providence over here doing its thing, Nibley next door doing its thing, Logan's doing its thing, and everybody's just, an independent city. Well, that's true, but every development impacts traffic. Every development impacts open space or lack thereof, if you're not careful. Every development also brings more workers to a certain area, which creates business opportunities and economic growth. So there's good and bad, but the example I keep going back to, in Providence a few years ago, there was a development proposed that I think was a smart development. Just talking about the development itself, a smart development for Providence. And residents in Providence are going to have to wrap their head around this, whether they like it or not. But it was kind of a mixed development. It was going to have some apartments, some townhomes, and some single-family homes. And there was opposition to it, and I initially scoffed at the opposition, thinking, of course, it's Providence. I'm pretty sure Providence is where NIMBYs are bred. NIMBY is not in my backyard. Yes, we need housing. No, we don't want to kick all of our kids out when they turn 18 because we're full in the valley, but not by me. I don't want it by me. And that, I tease Providence residents. I have family there, so I'm allowed to. I tease them all the time. I'm like, this is NIMBY Central. But what I found out through interviews here on the show, we spoke with the developer on the show. We spoke with a representative of the opposition to the development. We spoke with city council members. And what I found out, there was one concern. It was one primary concern, and it was a legit concern. And the concern was that this development in Providence was going to be literally on the boundary of Providence and a neighboring city. But, and that's going to happen, right? Unavoidable. But what was planned was going to basically dump all of the new traffic from that development right onto the streets of the neighboring city, who had not been consulted on any of this. And to me, that's the example of why we need to get past thinking about this as in all these independent cities just doing their own thing. This needs to be more county-wide coordinated because, I'm throwing these cities out arbitrarily. There's nothing going on that I know of, so nobody panic. But Nibley City could make a decision that negatively impacts traffic in Hiram, Millville, and Logan. North Logan could make a decision that negatively impacts traffic on Main Street, Logan, or traffic on some of the side streets and up to the university. These are the times when decisions like this could be made independently in each city without an impact on others and other cities are gone for the most part. There are still some. Mendon, you're good. You can still kind of do your own thing for a little while. Wellsville, you too, mostly. But that eastern edge of Wellsville, you're going to have to start thinking about other cities. But for the most part, the North Logans, Hyde Park's still kind of out there a little bit by itself, but that's changing. Smithfield, Logan, Providence, River Heights, Hiram, Nibley in the middle of all this too. There is not a single development decision or approval that could happen in any of those cities that isn't going to impact traffic. Just as one example, traffic in the other cities. And that alone, I think, means we need to start talking as a group. I think the county needs to get involved in this a little bit, either by hosting more. They've done it before, but hosting more coordinating meetings. Maybe cities, you have cities in the south part of the valley, like Nibley, Hiram, Wellsville, River Heights, Providence. Maybe they all get together and meet and start developing, for lack of a better word, regional master plans. So there's a south end, a north end, a central, east and west, and they can start talking about these things. Like we would like to start approving developments here, and here. That's going to negatively impact you because, again, back to that example of the development proposed in Providence. All of the controversy could have been avoided if there had been a conversation that looped in the neighboring city. And then maybe there were options. Maybe things could be done. Maybe the developer could say, okay, we realize this is going to impact traffic in your city, and yet you're not approving this development. The other city is. But we can do this to improve that road, or we can do this to change where people are going to be coming in and going out of our development to lessen impact on that road through your city. Those conversations can happen. They should happen, but they're not going to happen if we keep in this mindset of you just go to the city council where you're going to build and seek approval for a large development, and that city says yes. There was a time when that was dotting all your I's and crossing your T's. I think developers have got to start getting more realistic about this and realize, that you are going. A large development in Nibley is going to impact everyone in the valley at the south end. A large development in North Logan is going to impact everybody in the valley on the north end. So we need to start coordinating some of this as a valley, I think, to avoid this. The reason I say this is that it applies to I use traffic as an example because that's usually the one that causes the most visceral emotional reaction when we all think about it, right? But an example that I think is even more lasting and something that once it's gone, you don't have a lot of options to undo what you've just done. This single statistic. This comes from Ag Update, which is an online news site, state and regional here in the West, and they have branches that report, and they're not a newspaper or a radio newsroom. They're a data-driven news site. So they take data, census data, agricultural data, USDA data, statewide data. They've even taken data from Utah's Department of Agriculture and Food, and then they paint pictures with this. They take the data and visualize it and write reports about it saying, here's what this is telling us. And so data that has been collected in 2022 here in Utah shows that, well, first off, nationwide, we are on track without some changes in direction. We're on track to lose 18 million acres of farmland by 2035. 18 million acres of farmland will be housing by 2035. In the United States. And more than 31 million acres of U.S. agricultural land have already been irrevocably lost to what Ag Update calls urban expansion, sprawl, urban sprawl. And that's 31 million acres that are gone just since 1992. So farmland is disappearing, period. Some of it's going to happen. It's unrealistic to think that we can grow this much, we can have this many kids, and have them live near us and work near us, and all the things we all want, and not see some farmland get hoovered up in the development. That's just a reality. But we can be smart about it. We can make sure that that we don't just see all this farmland disappear willy-nilly. Maybe we even want to take some steps to protect farmland. Yale University, I'll point you to this. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. They break this down per minute. In the United States right now, and Utah is one of the top 10 contributors to this statistic, by the way. Our growth, fastest growing in the nation 3 years in a row. But every minute, an acre of farmland is developed. That's how it breaks down. I've linked to how Yale came to that. So you can see this for yourself on our Facebook page. But that's a scary statistic. Every single minute, an acre of farmland in the United States disappears, and Utah, one of the biggest contributors to that statistic. We'll be back right after this.
Napa Auto Parts just took in 2 truckloads of oil. These are Napa's 2 best-selling diesel oils, and they're on sale for the lowest price of the year. Chevron Delo 15W40, $15.99 a gallon. Napa Premium 15W40, $12.99 a gallon. You won't beat these prices anywhere. I mean it, anywhere. There's no limit to how much you can buy, but the sale's over when the oil's gone. Cash or credit card only. No delivery must be purchased and paid for in store. Price is good at any of the 5 locally owned Preston to Providence Napa Auto Parts.
Napa! Ron DeSantis reportedly going to announce next week the Trump versus DeSantis battle is about to be officially underway. We will break down all of the latest on that with you, plus Buck.
The migrant crisis in New York City is putting Mayor Adams against the Biden camp. What's going to happen with this one? We'll talk about that and much more coming up on Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
The way you water your lawn makes a big difference. Water restrictions and water costs have both increased over the last few years. The Lawn Doctor offers a popular service to help keep your lawn green and healthy while watering less. One application of our HydroGuard service reduces your watering frequency by up to 1 day a week, saving you water and money.
Watering help, weed, fertilizer, and pest control. Call the Lawn Doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
That is our time for the day, for the most part. Andy Morgan joining us tomorrow for the For the People movie show. And I wanted to leave everybody on a happier note, because that was kind of a downer segment there. I don't want to wrap up on that. So I've linked to this on our Facebook page as well if you'd like to check it out. But it is a really good news, I think, to say the least. But when it comes to Utah's workforce and our skill base, a report from the Milken Institute, Governor Cox tweeted this out earlier today. Utah has one of the most educated workforces in the West. And what that translates to as far as economic opportunity, i.e. businesses that might be drawn in that aren't here already, it translates to about an estimated 30% increase in for just one perspective on this, looking at restaurants alone. The more educated your workforce gets, the more higher percentage of restaurants you're going to have per capita. And the estimate based on Utah's education levels right now, within the next 5 years, you're going to have 30% more eating options in your local area. It's cool to see the data translated this way, and I look forward to that. Yum. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. Dave Ramsey next here on KVNU Logan.